كنت أعرف دائماً أنني سأعود يوماً ما.
لقد عاد للتو من المتجر. كنا في المتجر ولذا
قضيت الكثير من طفولتي في هذه الشوارع.
Now we will look into one of the most famous caliphs in the Abbasid dynasty. His full name is Abu Jafar Abdul-Allah ibn Muhammad al-Mansur. Usually known simply as al-Mansur, was the second Abbasid caliph, reigning from 754 CE up until 775 CE, succeeding his brother al-Safa. He was born in al-Humayma, Syria between 709 and 714. He is known for founding the round city or Madinat al-Salam, which was to become the core of Imperial Baghdad. Al-Mansur was a great-great-grandson of Abbas ibn Abdul al-Muttalib, an uncle of Prophet Muhammad. Al-Mansur's brother al-Safa began asserting his claim to become caliph in the 740 CE and became particularly active in Khorasan. Most importantly, modern historians regard al-Mansur as the real founder of the Abbasid Caliphate, one of the largest polities in world history, for his role in stabilizing and institutionalizing the dynasty. Al-Mansur administrative system has its own unique style. He consolidated the Abbasid administration through a number of diwans. He also established a translation bureau in Baghdad, which was before the House of Wisdom, Beit al-Hikmah. Al-Mansur built a strong state apparatus based on the army and bureaucracy and developed the bureaucracy under the influence of Iranian ideas to provide a more stable basis for Abbasid rule. Under Mansur, the Abbasid Caliphate rapidly developed an impressive bureaucracy. Unlike any other Christian state in the West, the Caliphate had a staff of salaried professional clerks, Kuttab, who kept records of income and expenditure and lists of those who served in the army and their rates of pay. The clerks who worked in the offices, diwans, were all laymen, while there was a certain overlap. The clerks of the bureaucracy were an entirely different group from the religious scholars or ulama. Al-Mansur's most significant achievement was establishing the capital of the Abbasid dynasty at Baghdad, which he called the City of Peace. He built the circular city on the western bank of the Tigris River, near the old capital of Al-Madiin, and enclosed it with a thick defensive wall and 4 gates. In the center of the city, he built the Caliph's palace and the main mosque. Al-Mansur also made arrangements for succession to the Caliphate, and every Abbasid Caliph is a direct descendant of Al-Mansur. He is known for staffing his administration with Muslims of diverse backgrounds. This can be seen as an attempt to create a more unified and loyal bureaucracy. As for the conclusion of the administrative reform of Caliph al-Mansur, his reign was known for relative peace, as he focused on internal reforms. This suggests a well-functioning administrative system that could maintain order and ensure smooth governance. Baghdad was such a magnificent city, from its architecture to the people inside it. The biggest contribution that Caliph al-Mansur made was founding Baghdad. It's become one of the most important cultural, political, and commercial centers of the Islamic world. Al-Mansur found Baghdad in the year 762 AD. He chose the location strategically along the Tigris River. Baghdad was given the name Madinat al-Salam, City of Peace, which reflects the city's status as a center of peace, culture, and learning during the Islamic Golden Age under the Abbasid. It's emphasizing Baghdad's role as a hub of knowledge, enlightenment, and civilization. The city was planned as a perfect circle with a diameter of 2.4 kilometers. The round city served as the political and administrative center and symbol of Caliph's authority. The city was known for its mosques, palaces, and minarets, which blended various designs, calligraphies, and geometric patterns. Includes the Great Mosque of Baghdad. The House of Wisdom, also known as Beit al-Hikmah, was a major intellectual center during the Islamic Golden Age. It played a crucial role in the transmission of knowledge between different civilizations, fostering intellectual exchange and innovation that laid the foundation for centuries of scientific and cultural progress. In the Islamic world, Beit al-Hikmah served as a library, translation institute, and research center. Its primary focus was on translation and preserving classical Greek, Persian, and Indian works. The scholars at the House of Wisdom made significant contributions to the development of algebra, advancements in astronomy and optics, and the preservation of classical texts. All of this development later influenced European Renaissance thinkers. Al-Mansur conducted several military campaigns during his reign to expand the Abbasid Caliphate. He launched campaigns to conquer Khorasan but faced stiff resistance from Abu Muslim supporters eventually. He succeeded in capturing key cities and defeating the rebellion. He also conducted a military campaign against the Berbers and managed to suppress the rebellion and regain control over the region. His most notable military campaign was against the Umayyad Caliphate. He led an expedition in 756 AD against the Umayyad in Cordoba, Spain. Umayyad was defeated and Abbasid established authority in the Iberian Peninsula. In 763 AD, he launched an expedition into Anatolia and captured important Byzantine cities, including Amorium. This campaign weakened Byzantine authority in the region and expanded Abbasid influence. Massacre of the Umayyad family, the surviving members of the Umayyad line who had governed before the Abbasids, were one of the biggest challenges. To make sure the Umayyad family could not overthrow him or muster resistance, Caliph al-Mansur planned the murder of them all. Tyrannical rule, authoritarianism, and the concentration of authority were hallmarks of al-Mansur's reign. He exercised control over every facet of government, frequently using severe tactics to hold onto power. He did not allow for dissent, and anyone who disagreed with him suffered dire repercussions. Shia Muslims, whose views differed from those of the Sunni Abbasid rulers, were especially hated by him. He implemented policies to suppress Shia communities, viewing them as a threat to his political and religious authority. This often involved persecution, imprisonment, and even execution of Shia individuals. Al-Mansur's rule brought about hardship for many within the Abbasid Empire. His pursuit of power and stability led to widespread political purges where perceived threats or rivals were eliminated. This fostered an environment of fear and uncertainty, as people were constantly fearful of being targeted by the Caliph's regime. To keep control over his enormous empire, al-Mansur used brutal force to suppress revolts and uprisings. Any kind of dissent or revolt was dealt with rapid and decisive punishment, frequently culminating in the execution of rebels and the destruction of their settlements. This technique strengthened the Caliph's authority while also instilling dread among the public. Taxation: al-Mansur faced the issue of financing his vast kingdom, which necessitated significant revenue. To do this, he levied several types of taxes on his subjects, such as land taxes, poll taxes, and trade tariffs. These taxes imposed a substantial burden on the general public, particularly the lower classes, who frequently struggled to satisfy their financial obligations. Maintaining a strong military was critical to al-Mansur's capacity to assert authority over his realm and suppress both internal dissent and external threats. This necessitated significant expenditure in military recruiting, training, equipment, and facilities. The cost of maintaining a huge army put further strain on the empire's resources, adding to its overall financial load. Al-Mansur launched large-scale building initiatives to improve the infrastructure and stature of Baghdad, the capital city, as well as other key areas within the empire. These undertakings included building roads, irrigation systems, palaces, and mosques. The Abbasid Caliphate's grandeur and power were embodied in them, but they also came at a heavy financial cost to the public coffers. Al-Mansur needed a significant financial investment to try and consolidate power in his own hands. This entailed the Caliph himself appointing officials to head a massive bureaucracy that would oversee the empire. In addition to salaries and other administrative costs, the upkeep of this bureaucratic infrastructure increased the financial strain on the Abbasid government. Al-Mansur understood the value of trade and commerce in generating income and promoting economic progress, despite the financial difficulties. His goals were to open up trade channels, encourage business ventures, and impose fees on products that traveled via important trading hubs. On the other hand, an overabundance of taxes and regulations may impede economic growth and provide a challenge to the prosperity of traders and merchants. Al-Mansur was known for his suppression of dissent, particularly targeting political opponents and members of rival religious sections. Al-Mansur used various means such as torture and interrogation, execution of opponents, and political purges. Although Abbasid caliphs generally had a more tolerant approach to religious minorities compared to previous rulers, there were still instances of discrimination and persecution under Al-Mansur's rule, such as with his existing dhimmi status, jizya tax, and social and legal restrictions. Al-Mansur used military force to maintain control over various territories, sometimes resulting in violence and instability. Al-Mansur also used the army to carry out brutal repression against the Abbasid caliphs to strengthen the power of Islamic law, to punish dissent as well as for taxes. Caliph Al-Mansur's reign as the Abbasid caliph was a complex tapestry woven with threads of brilliance and brutality. The good of his legacy lies in his establishment of Baghdad as a center of learning and culture, his championing of science and translation, and his laying the groundwork for a prosperous Abbasid empire. However, the bad cannot be ignored. His ruthless suppression of dissent and his reliance on violence to consolidate power tarnished his achievements. The ugly of Al-Mansur's legacy is perhaps best embodied by the massacre at Abbasid victory over the Umayyads. This act of cruelty cast a long shadow and arguably marked a shift in the character of the Abbasid Caliphate. Despite these flaws, Caliph Al-Mansur's impact on the Islamic world is undeniable. His reign ushered in a golden age of intellectual achievement and territorial expansion, forever etching his name in the annals of Islamic history.